Welcome back to the Chasing Tone podcast. This is a special episode because I'm going to show you some cool stuff. One of them is the prototype delay that you just heard. And the other one is the Euphoria. So it's not new, but I have some tips that may help you if you're having trouble getting a good sound from it. I actually did a video on this as well. And so we'll run over those two different things. So it's a special episode. I like to call these tone tips. So I don't know if this is a tone tip necessarily, but, you know, it's going to be fun. And I think if you have the Euphoria, I think it's going to be something that it may make you look at it a little bit differently. So let's just jump right into that from the get-go. So, of course, on the Euphoria, we have the volume, tone, gain, and we have the bass control. Now, you may or may not know that bass control is not a normal bass control. It is pre-clipping, whereas many bass controls are post-clipping. Now, I'll kind of define what that means. So usually whenever you boost the bass before a clipping circuit, it does increase the bass, but it also makes it a bit fuzzier. When you boost it after it, then you're gonna have more of a significant increase in the bass frequencies. So right now, I have it all the way down. I'm on the open setting, so the toggle's in the middle. And my volume's at unity. My tone is about 10 o'clock or so. I'm using a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe and my Whitfield Telecaster, so single coils. I'm on the bridge. And gain is about 10 o'clock. And like I said, bass all the way down. And here's the sound I get. Actually, let me switch it off first. So just my clean tone. Now I'll kick the Euphoria on. Let me turn the gain up a bit. Now I'm going to roll the bass control up and you'll see what it does. So it gets almost fuzzy, really creamy. That was with the bass at noon. So when I roll the bass up even more, now it's almost all the way up. It does increase the amount of low-end content, but it does get fuzzier. So as you can hear, it's almost muddy with that sort of sound. We can compensate by bringing the tone control up, the bass down on the amp. But really, with some guitars that they're really thin, then I always tell people to start with the bass all the way down. If your guitar is thin, or you're using single coils and it's a little bit thinner like this Telecaster, maybe roll the bass up just a bit. Honestly, I never use the bass at noon. It's not something that I particularly like. Some guys do use it that way. But for me personally, if I want a crunchier sound, I'll start with the bass all the way down. Let me do that again just for contrast. So as you can see, much crunchier, much more like a neutral sounding overdrive. Now I'm going to kick with those settings. So right now my gain is at about 2 o'clock. My bass is all the way down. My tone is about 10 o'clock. My volume, again, about unity. I'm going to switch it to the smooth mode, which actually switches in some diodes in like a soft clipping format. In the open setting, there's no diodes involved, so it's really just clipping op amps right there. In the crunch setting, it is soft clipping and it's hard clipping as well. So it's in the what is it? I think it's a Noble's ODR1 actually does the same thing. It's not the same circuit at all, but it clips in a similar fashion. So really cool for like low gain sounds. And if you turn up the bass a little bit, turn the gain up a little bit, you can get a decent, I hate to say decent, but a mild fuzz, I guess is a good way to put it. So it's not like a fuzz face, but it's kind of fuzzy, if that makes sense. So right now, smooth setting, gain at 2, bass down, treble at about 10. Here we go. That's on the smooth setting. Now, let me go down to the crunch setting. Now I'm going to roll the bass up just a bit. So I'm about 11 o'clock or so. I'll turn the bass up even more. So now we're about 3 o'clock or so. So as you can hear, it's really fuzzy. It's not nearly as crunchy. It's a cool sound on its own. It's nice and smooth. So that's a whole different sound in the same pedal. So that's the reason for that type of bass control. With the regular post clipping bass control, you're really not going to get that sort of sound. You're not going to get, it's not going to have the same reaction unless the circuit's designed that way. So hopefully that kind of clears some stuff up on the actual bass control. Now I'm going to go back to the open setting, turning the bass down, and just to show you the differences. So that's open setting, bass all the way down, gain up at 2, tone at about 10 o'clock, volume to unity. And if you don't know what I mean by unity, that just means roughly the same loudness as whenever the pedal is off. And once again, let me go ahead and turn this off just for a comparison on the bass tone. I'm sorry, on the, the unaffected tone. So really clean right there, right? Hey, I'm going to go ahead and show you something. I usually don't do this. I really don't. This is a prototype of a new delay that I'll be coming out with eventually. I don't know the name of it, but it's not really like anything else that I've seen. So it's got some funky filtering going on. It's not really supposed to be a tape echo. It's just kind of a fun thing to play with when I was mucking around. So let me show you that real quick. Okay, so the controls on this are basically the same thing as a faux tape echo. So we have the rate and the depth, and then of course we have the delay time, the mix, the volume, the repeats, and then a tone control as well. So I'll start with let me start with the tone all the way counterclockwise, which is I believe it's going to be brighter. I actually forget. I've only played this like 5 minutes before I started this, so hang on. So it's fairly spacious, unique sounding. And like I said, it's not really supposed to be a tape echo in any way. It's just a fun delay to play with. So let me turn well, first let me back up. So I have the repeats at about half right now. So it will feed back. If I want to turn the repeats up, it's going to feed back. When I say feedback, it's going to feed back on itself and oscillate. Mix is about noon or so. And let me turn the tone control up. So this should be darker. So as you can hear, it's like oscillating a little bit in the background while I'm playing, but it's not too overbearing. And I did turn the mix up a little bit, so I'll roll the tone control back down so you can hear that sound as well. Okay, so on this particular delay, we do have subdivisions as well, just like the new faux tape echo. So we do have the regular quarter, which is when you're tapping something, that's usually going to be a quarter note. Eighth, dotted eighth, triplet, goes up to, I believe, about 800 milliseconds or so. And does have tap tempo, of course. And this one actually has a special little feature, but I can't say anything about it just yet. But it's really going to be cool. It allows you to link things together and have very fun possibilities by doing so. So more on that in the future. This being the prototype, can't let the cat out of the bag just yet. But I thought I would do something a little different today and kind of bring you guys into my world as far as designing. So now that I have this prototype, so my mindset while I'm doing this is, what am I going to change? What needs changed? So I'm listening to it thinking I may want to make it a little bit brighter, or at least have the ability to get a little bit brighter. Really, this one came out pretty good. I'm really happy with it. It sounded almost exactly like it sounded on the breadboard, which isn't always the case. Sometimes you make something on a breadboard and it just doesn't sound that way. It sounds different in one way or the other, and then you have to figure out how to make your prototype sound like what you had on the breadboard. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. In this situation, it did. So I'm really happy with this delay. And again, the Euphoria, hope that brought you, a little bit of insight. If you have a Euphoria that you're just struggling to get the sound that you may hear on videos, or to get the sound that you want, that's something more crunchy and neutral, start with that bass control. That's where a lot of the magic lies. And experiment with the toggle settings as well. I think there's a lot of mileage to be gained, a lot of different tones, changing the toggle switch and moving the bass control around. And it's a really good overdrive. It's one of my favorite overdrives to play, just because it is very neutral sounding. So I hope this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you email podcast@wamplerpedals.com. I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions. And until next week, thanks for listening.